If you've been gaming for most of your life, consoles probably weren't just a hobby for you, they were a constant. You grew up with them, you mark time by generations, and certain games are permanently tied to specific moments in your life. But for a lot of lifelong gamers, there comes a point where stepping away from modern consoles isn't some dramatic decision, it's a slow realization. You sit down to play, and instead of feeling excited, you feel tired. Not physically tired, but mentally worn down by everything that now surrounds the act of playing a game. What used to be simple has become layered with conditions, updates, subscriptions, logins, and rules that didn't exist before. And eventually, that friction adds up. One of the biggest reasons people walk away from consoles after decades of gaming is time. When you were younger, gaming fit naturally into your life. Now it competes with work, family, responsibilities, and limited energy. Modern games are often designed around long term engagement, daily challenges, seasonal content, and mechanics that assume you'll be there every night. For someone who only has a few hours a week, that design philosophy can make gaming feel less like an escape and more like another obligation. You don't just pick up a controller and play anymore. You commit, and for many people, that commitment no longer feels worth it. Another major turning point is how the industry itself has changed. Consoles used to be about ownership in a very literal sense. You bought a game, you owned it, and as long as your system worked, that game was yours. Today, so much of console gaming is tied to digital storefronts, licenses, servers, and accounts. Games can be delisted, content can be altered or removed, servers can shut down. Even items you paid for can disappear if a license expires or a service ends. For a lot of longtime gamers, this is where the illusion breaks. You realize you're no longer collecting games, you're renting access to them. Sometimes without even being told that's what you're doing. That realization alone is enough for some people to walk away. Online culture also plays a role. Competitive multiplayer has become the default focus for many big releases, and with that comes pressure. Skill based matchmaking, ranked modes, metas that change every few weeks, and communities that can be outright exhausting. What was once about hopping online with friends has turned into a constant test of performance. If you don't keep up, you fall behind. If you do keep up, you risk burnout. Many longtime gamers reach a point where they simply don't want to be stressed by their entertainment anymore. Cost is another factor that can't be ignored. Consoles themselves are expensive, games are more expensive than ever, and subscriptions are now required just to access basic features like online play. When you add in paid DLC, season passes, cosmetic stores, and premium upgrades, the value proposition starts to look a lot worse, especially if you're not playing constantly. For someone who only wants to game occasionally, the cost to enjoyment ratio can feel completely out of balance. Then there's the issue of nostalgia, and this is a big one. A lot of gamers spend years chasing the feelings they had when they first fell in love with games. Modern titles can be impressive, massive, and technically stunning, but they don't always recreate that sense of discovery or personal connection. At some point, you stop blaming the games and realize that the experience you're looking for exists somewhere else or maybe in a different era entirely. When people quit consoles, it doesn't usually mean they quit gaming. It means they start looking for alternatives that better fit what they actually want now. For some, that option is PC gaming if they can afford a decent setup. PC offers flexibility, control over settings, access to massive libraries, mods, and often better preservation through DRM free platforms. It's not cheap and it's not for everyone, but for gamers frustrated with closed ecosystems and limited control, it can feel like reclaiming ownership over the hobby. For others, the answer is going backward, not forward. Retro gaming offers something modern consoles increasingly don't permanence. When you own a cartridge or disc from an older system, no one can remove it from your library, patch it into something else, or shut it down remotely. It works today the same way it did decades ago. That's the path I personally chose. As the drawbacks of modern gaming became more apparent, especially issues around digital ownership and the removal of purchased items, going back to retro felt like the most honest version of gaming for me. You buy it, you own it, and it's yours as long as the hardware survives. There's a comfort in that simplicity that modern platforms just don't provide anymore. Walking away from consoles isn't about bitterness or refusing to adapt. It's about recognizing that your relationship with gaming has changed, and that's okay. You can still love games without loving the systems they're sold on today. Whether that means switching to PC, diving into retro, focusing on handhelds, or just playing less overall, the point is choosing what actually brings you enjoyment instead of forcing yourself to keep up. If you made it this far and this video resonated with you, I'd really appreciate it if you gave it a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe and ring the notification bell so you don't miss any future videos. And whether you're playing the latest release or dusting off a cartridge from decades ago, thanks for watching, and as always, game on.